Statement. We have arrived. Welcome to Bloomburrow.
Ooh, it's so pretty. Hold on, why aren't we animals? Shouldn't we be small and adorable right now?
Statement. My magistabilizers maintain our forms when moving from plane to plane in order to maintain comfort and ease of access for all.
I feel like it might just be because cute little animals weren't really in the budget, huh?
Statement. Multiple statements may be correct concurrently.
Well, let's go find Gruff. He's gotta be around here somewhere.
Affirmative. Beginning scan. Please stand by.
Well, while she's doing that, good evening, darlings and deviants. My name is Lucy, and I'm just a little loony. Bloomburrow is here, and this place is just amazing. Beautiful vistas, cute little critters, and a whole bunch of super powerful new cards and mechanics. One of the most impressive, for my money, is the Offspring mechanic. Being able to make token copies of all sorts of creatures is fantastic. But why should I be content with just pulling one extra rabbit out of a hat? I want to make all of the Offspring possible, and I'm sure that no one will ever misinterpret what I mean by that. So, without further ado, let's start the show. So, first off, what is Offspring? Well, it's a new mechanic in Bloomburrow on a bunch of different creatures, including Warren Warleader. This is a 4/4 Rabbit Knight for 2 and 2 white that can, whenever you attack, let you either make a 1/1 tapped and attacking rabbit, or give all of your attacking creatures +1/+1. By itself, that's not too bad, but for an extra 2 generic mana, you can make a copy of the Warleader, but it's a 1/1 instead of the normal 4/4. Basically, you pay a smaller cost to get a smaller creature with the same effect. It's a fantastically designed mechanic, but it isn't actually the first time that we've seen cards like this. Introduced in the Warhammer 40k Precon decks, the squad mechanic is very similar to Offspring. You know, having kids, hanging out with the homies, killing all of the filthy Xenos and heretics, it's all the same thing, really. Anyway, Squad lets you pay an additional cost, just like Offspring, but you get an exact copy of the token, and you can pay it as many times as you want. The downside of this is that a good amount of the Squad cards are a bit expensive on the front end, while most of the Offspring cards are solid, efficient creatures on their own, while having a little bit of bonus if you can pay the child support. The epitome of this new mechanic is Zinnia Valley's Voice. For a blue, a white, and a red, you get a 1/3 with flying that gets an extra +X/+0 for each creature you have with base power 1. That means if it's a 1/1 token of something like an Offspring or maybe from a squad, or if it's a 1/1 that has a bunch of counters stuck on top of it, anything like that, Zinnia gets an extra power from it. And they also give all of your creature spells Offspring too, so you can, make more of those little 1/1 tokens. And honestly, this effect can get out of hand very quickly. Don't believe me? Let me show you. So, you've made an Offspring or two, either with Zinnia's effect or with a creature with Offspring. Now, let's see about making even more.
Statement. Typical token doubling effects contain green in their mana values. However, Zinnia does not have green in their color identity. Query. How do you intend to make more tokens?
Oh, I'm glad you asked, Lyris. While it's true that cards like Doubling Season and Parallel Lives are both green and can't really be used with Zinnia, we still have plenty of ways to make more tokens. For example, another friendly bird that can help us get more tokens is Akeem the Soaring Wind. Akeem is a 2, a blue, a white, and a red for a flying 3/4 bird dinosaur, which is technically an oxymoron. Dinosaurs are just birds that haven't had a few million years in the evolutionary oven, but I digress. What's Akeem do? Well, Akeem lets us make an extra 1/1 bird every time we make a token. Any token. Birds of a feather flock together, after all. Besides these beautiful birds, there's the normal suite of token doublers in mono white. Stuff like Anointed Procession, Mondrak, Ojertog, all extremely powerful cards, and they can all make a token deck like this get out of hand super quickly.
Acknowledged. Query. Due to the powerful nature of these effects, would they not cause the user to be analyzed as a threat?
Oh, well, that is true. Token doublers like this are an easy way to make yourself public enemy number 1. So let's do our best to make some more little guys, but slide under the radar. So, doubling your tokens is great and all, but if you keep pushing your opponent's buttons, they'll eventually push your button. Specifically the reset button on your board. So let's try and make a bunch of tokens, but keep it on the down low. The best way to do this, in my opinion, is with the populate mechanic. Populate was a mechanic that was introduced way back in Return to Ravnica, and looking up when this set came out, I am feeling much older because that's about when I started playing the game, and ooh, that came out a while ago. Ooh. Anyway, it essentially lets you make a copy of a creature token you control, meaning we can make even more of our Offspring copies. If you picked up the Modern Horizons 3 precons, you might remember Kaith famed Mechanist. Kaith is 1, a blue, a red, and a white for a 3/3 Dwarf Artificer with Fabricate 1, meaning she makes a 1/1 servo when she comes into play, or gets a +1/+1 counter. Your choice. We'll probably be, making the tokens with this sort of deck. Not only does she give the Fabricate 1 ability to the rest of your non-token creatures as they enter, meaning we can make more tokens for Zinnia, but she also lets you pay 2 generic and tapping her to populate or proliferate. Spoiler alert, in a deck like this we'll probably populating more than proliferating. But that's not all. Cards like Nesting Dovehawk and Muster the Departed are 2 very solid populate cards that provide consistent value and keep growing your newfound family. And of course, every good bard like Zinnia needs a song. Song of the World Soul, that is. This enchantment is a little bit expensive at 4 and 2 white, but it means for as long as this sticks around, every single spell of yours also makes a copy of one of your creature tokens. And considering finding a card that gets you mana or gives you card draw when it enters on the battlefield is trivial, getting an easy copy of anything seems super valuable, especially if you can make a token copy of something that counters a spell when it comes into play. Make an Offspring of the Sisters of Silence or Voracious Great Shark and turn any instant into a counterspell. Now, the one exception to this rule is that legendary creatures can't really have children. At least not according to the rules of the game, anyway. A copy of a legendary creature will, unfortunately, bite the dust. But you don't watch these videos for me to tell you what you can't do, so let's do it anyway. Jeskai happens to be the best combination of colors to tutor out artifacts, so let's tutor up some artifacts. Mirror Gallery and Mirror Box in order to make copies of our legends. Oddly enough, one of the more interesting options to do with this is to clone Zinnia. Multiple instances of Offspring work on their own, so if you have 2 Zinnias, you can pay 4 and make 2 1/1 copies of a creature. And that's just one of the many options that you have when you start thinking with mirrors.
Incoming transmission. Multiple planeswalkers have asserted the interaction between Zinnia, Silverquill Lecturer, and Dockside Extortionist. Some are claiming this makes an infinite amount of treasures and Dockside Extortionists for 2 players along with infinite mana.
Oh yeah, that was blowing up on the internet for a little bit, huh? So I'll explain. Dockside Extortionist is one of the most powerful magic cards in Commander. For 1 and a red, you get a 1/2 Goblin Pirate that makes a treasure when it enters the battlefield for each artifact or enchantment your opponents control. Then we have Silverquill Lecturer, who is 4 and a white for a 3/3 core wizard that gives all of your creature spells Demonstrate, which is an ability that lets you copy a spell as long as you give your opponent a copy as well. Very, very powerful, especially in decks like Zinnia, who definitely want to make a bunch of token copies of creatures. However, these 2 with Zinnia don't quite go infinite. When you cast Dockside and pay the Offspring cost, you get the chance to copy the spell, giving your opponent a copy of this Offspring Dockside. Now, once everything is said and done, your opponent will have 2 Docksides, one is a 1/2 and one's a 1/1 token copy, and you'll have 4. 3 token copies, one of which is a 1/2, 2 of which are 1/1s, and 1 is the base one. And you'll be drowning in more treasures than a dragon who hasn't been audited in a couple thousand years, but it's not quite infinite. The important thing to note is that Demonstrate simply copies the spell. It's not casting again, and that means you can't keep copying it with Zinnia or Demonstrate. There's a difference between copying spells and casting copies of spells, and that's a whole different can of worms. Are there worms on Bloomburrow? Are they even sentient? Regardless, it is extremely powerful. But that's more so because, Dockside is powerful and super busted, and I have opinions on it, but I won't say them now. We do not have time. Breaking Dockside Extortionist is like saying you made ice cream tastier by dunking it into sprinkles. Yeah, you're technically correct, but it's ice cream, dude.
Scan complete. The lifeform known as Gruff has been located.
Awesome! Let's go find him.
Acknowledged. Scanning nearby area and generating pathing and travel itinerary.
Thanks, Lyris. Alright, looks like we're going on the search for Gruff. In the meantime, have you built anything cool with Zinnia or the new Offspring cards, or any of the cards in Bloomburrow for that matter? Let me know down in the comments below. And as always, thank you all so very much for watching, and until next time, au revoir!